Now that we have the ability to switch between different genres, it might be a good idea to implement the search functionality as well, so that we can search for different movies just by writing their title. Let's go ahead and do that right now. To implement the search, I'm going to close all of the currently open files, and we only need to open one. And that is going to be our components, and inside of the navbar, we have our string of search right now. But we need to convert this string into a new component. I'm going to create a new folder inside of our components folder called search. Inside of that search, we can create a new file called search.jsx. Of course, we can do the RAFCE and write search right here, and then we can add a console log that simply says search at the start. Great. Now we can export that search from the index as we always do. So I'm going to just duplicate the line and type search here. Then inside of our navigation bar, so let's go to our nav bar, we can find where were we referencing the search. That was in two places, line 58 for me and 35. So instead of this string, we can simply show a self-closing search component. I'm going to copy it, and we need to also do it right here below. Of course, we have to import this component, so I'm going to do it right here next to the sidebar. We want to import the search component. Great. So let's go inside of our search and let's import a few things. We are going to need a use state as well as the use effect hooks. We're also going to need a few things from Material UI, and these things are going to be a text field as well as the input adornment. And that's going to be coming from add MUI material. We also need to import a few icons. We're going to import search as search icon, and that's going to be coming from add MUI / icons - material. We're also going to import a few hooks from React Redux. These are going to be use dispatch as well as the use selector. You can already notice that from here we'll have to call certain Redux slices. So that's coming from React-Redux. And finally, we need one final thing, which is the import use location. That use location is a special hook coming from React-router-DOM. These imports really show you how hooks have taken over the React world. Use state, use effect, use dispatch, use selector, use location. 5 different hooks across 3 different dependencies in one single file. Great. So now that we have all of these things that we need, let's implement our JSX first. Our div is going to have a class name equal to classes.search container. Now might also be a good time to implement our styles. So I'm going to create a new file inside of our search, which is going to be called styles.js. Inside of there, we can again copy the same thing and simply add these make styles. We can start implementing our styles. The first one on our list being the search container. So inside of here, let's do a search container, and we're only going to apply styles on mobile devices. So we can say theme dot breakpoints dot down, and then we can use small right here, and we're going to give it a display equal to flex, as well as the justify content equal to center, and also width equal to 100. Of course, we have to use the theme right inside of here. This is going to be it for our search container. Of course, there is one final hook, which is our own hook called use styles, coming from /styles. And then we have to do const classes is equal to use styles, as we always do. Now we can continue implementing our search by using a text field component. A text field is basically a Material UI way of saying input. It is going to be a self-closing tag, and inside of there, we're going to have a few properties. First, we're going to have onKeyPress, and that onKeyPress is going to be equal to a function called handleKeyPress. That function doesn't exist yet, but we can create it right away. HandleKeyPress is an arrow function right here. Then we need to have a value for our text field. So let's create a new useState field like this. And I'm going to call it query and set query and set the default value to be equal to an empty string. That way we can say value right here, and value is going to be equal to query. Also, on change, we simply want to have a callback function where we're gonna call the set query and set that equal to e.target.value. On every single input or a text field, you get the keyPress event right there, and then you can use that to set the query. Finally, we're going to set the variant to be equal to standard, and that's going to be it for now. Let's go ahead and check it out in the browser. There we go. It looks kinda empty. We don't have any kind of icon here or any kind of placeholder text, so let's fix that just a bit. We can do that by adding a special prop called input with a capital I props. And then that's going to be an object. And then inside of that object, we can give it another class name equal to classes.input. While we're here, let's automatically add that style. So in here, we can add our input. And our input is also going to have styles just on mobile. So we can immediately copy this part. And we're going to give it margin top, which is going to be equal to minus 10 pixels. And also margin bottom, which is going to be equal to 10 pixels. Our input is also going to have a few general styles, and these are going to be color. We want to change the color of the input depending of the currently selected theme. So we can say theme.palette.mode. If it is set to light, in that case, we want to simply set the color to black. And we can do that like this. And then we also want to change everything else that has to do with input by using the filter tag. So we can say filter, and we can do the same thing. If theme.palette.mode is equal to light, in that case, we want to call a string that's gonna say invert 1. So we wanna invert the color. And this is going to be it when it comes to the styles of our search. Now we can go back to our search and we can set that start adornment. The start adornment is going to be our icon. So right here, we can say input adornment, and that's going to have a position equal to start. And inside of there, we simply want to render our search icon. There we go. Now we can save that, and we are done with the JSX part of our search. Let's see how it looks. There we go. It's white. On hover, it even becomes whiter. We have this nice search icon, and we can search for something like Superman. Great. How does it look like on mobile devices? There we go. It appears below all of our basic controls right here, so we can still search for something. Of course, we cannot yet see it in the dark mode, but we're going to implement that soon enough. So now is the time to implement the functionality of our search. Let's go ahead and do that right away. Do you remember this handleKeyPress function we just created? Right inside of there, we can dispatch some actions to get the corresponding movies. Inside of the handleKeyPress function, we get our event, our keypress event, as a parameter. What we want to do is we want to check if event.key is triple equal to enter. So if we press the enter key, in that case, we want to search for a specific movie. Therefore, we can use the dispatch method we learned before. To use the dispatch, we have to say const dispatch is equal to use dispatch, and then call it as a hook. Now we can dispatch a specific action creator, and that is going to look something like this. Dispatch, search, movie, and then we want to pass our specific query. But as you can see, our search movie is right now not defined. So let's go to our genre or category feature. Inside of here, we also had a search query. So let's implement the search functionality as well. Just below the select genre or category, we can add search movie. Our search movie is also going to be an arrow function, and we're going to accept state and the action. Right here, we can do the same thing. We can say state.search query this time is going to be equal to action.payload. Now keep in mind that if we want to search for a category, we have to reset our search query. So right here, we can say state.search query is equal to an empty string. And now we get access to our search movie right here. And therefore we can import it inside of our search by simply saying import search movie. And then that's gonna be from // features current genre or category. There we go. Now we have our action that we can then dispatch. Now, what do you think? Is this going to work? Well, let's go ahead and give it a shot. If we go back to our application, we can go to popular, top rated, or so, and then let's try searching for a movie. In this case, I'll try with Superman. If I press enter, we get an error. Search movie is not defined. So let's see if I imported this search movie correctly. Right here, if I click search movie, it leads us to here. And we can indeed see that we have this search movie right here. So let's try to save all of our files one more time and just reload the page and try it one more time. I'm gonna reload the page and search for Superman. I press enter and it looks like we didn't get anything. Let's go to our console. And if I do it again with the console opened, unfortunately we cannot seem to see anything. If we take a look at the console, no requests are being made. So let's debug that right now. I'm going to go to our search component and I'm going to add a console log right here before we do a dispatch. Console.log, and I want to say here first with a space, and then I want to see what query are we searching for. Let's go ahead and save it and take a look. I'm gonna reload the page, go to our console, and search for Superman. I pressed enter, and we can indeed see here Superman. That means that we are dispatching an action, but I cannot seem to see it in our network request. So let's do one step further. We know we're getting to here. Now we have to see if we're passing the data correctly. So now we have to go to our search movie right here, and let's add a console.log here. Let's console log the action.payload. And we can also say here, just so we know that this is the console log we're talking about. Great, let's save it and take a look. I'm gonna do one more reload, and let's search for Superman. Again, we get the correct thing from the correct location. Current genre or category, Superman. So why is our request not being made? Well, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. We're just setting this state. We are never actually using it. So now we have to make use of this data inside of our movies to make proper movie request. That can be done inside of the movies component. Inside of here, we're fetching the movies, right? Use get movies query. But now from genre ID or category name, we're also getting something else. And that something else is going to be a search term. Or let's see, how did we call it? That's going to be search movie. We called it search query. So inside of here, I'm going to search for search query. And if we do have a search query, we also want to pass it over to our use get movies query. That way, our function that is responsible for fetching the movies is going to have the information about our search query. So we can go right here and we can get that search query right here. Also, notice that we are accepting a page right here that we were passing before, so we no longer have to use this demo page at the top. Now we can implement one final query right here, and that is going to be get movies by search. Inside of here, the situation is going to be similar if. In that case, we can simply say if search query. In that case, we want to return. That's going to be /search /movie question mark query is equal to search query. Then we also want to say and page is equal to page, as we always do, and API underscore key is equal to TMDB API key. This is our correct endpoint. Now we are doing what is necessary for our movies to change depending on our specific title. Now we are getting that data from our useSelector about the search query, passing the search query into the useGetMovies query, and our useGetMovies query is smart enough to know that if there is a search query, then give us the movies related to that query and display them. So now let's go ahead and test this out. I've closed our console and I'm going to search for Superman one more time. It's loading and there we go. Our Superman movies are right here. Let's go ahead and search for Iron Man as well. Looks like we don't have a lot of Iron Man movies. That's because I have to add a space in between. There we go. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. You can search for every single movie in existence right now. That's amazing. We have the top categories, top genres, and we've just implemented the search. That's phenomenal. This is really becoming a great movie application. To be completely honest with you, I'm using this application myself right now. I've only coded it as an educational project where you can learn quite a lot of things, but it ended up being an amazing application for movie lovers such as myself. I can add my favorite movies, rate them, and so on. So I keep using this daily. And you can as well. After all, by the end of this course, you're going to build this application yourself, fully, and then you can even add your modifications to it. That's going to be it for this lecture. We implemented the search movie functionality. We are using it right here, where we dispatch the specific query with the following text field, and then we are using it right here inside of the movies so that we can get the proper movies only for that search term. Great job, and I'll see you in the next lecture.